Even if they would have said 10 minutes aside, it would have been 4 reps through the form because the form was so dang long. If you are teaching any curriculum at your school, are you actually... Welcome to another episode of the Relentless CEO podcast. We are diving in today to something that I call the best class blueprint. So as many of you that have been following this podcast know, we took some time and requested class footage from 75 plus different martial arts schools and watched all of the footage. And from watching all the footage sent in, watching the classes going on at my school, I wanted to really develop a way for my instructors to audit their classes. And what I developed was something called the best class blueprint. And these are the 5 foundational keys for having the best possible class training experience on the planet. So let's jump into how this works, all right? So I usually will teach this in a pyramid formation with the bottom being the foundation all the way up to the top, which the top is the most important. So if you guys think about this as a number list, we're gonna go from 5 all the way up to 1 in order of importance. I got my notes with me to help out. Let's jump into it. Okay, to start with, the foundation of having amazing classes starts with preparation. So if we think about preparation, part of it is going to be your curriculum structure. How is it being taught? How is it being organized? What is the goal of your curriculum? One of the things that we did is when we revamped the curriculum, we started with black belt and we said, hey, what do we want a black belt to look like, feel like, and embody in Move Martial Arts? What are the traits that they have? What are the skills that they've learned? And we started with painting the perfect picture of we want our ideal black belt to look like. Once we had that, then we went back and started building it from the foundation on up, starting with white belt. So it was systematically put together to achieve a specific goal at black belt. When you guys are looking at your curriculum, does your curriculum actually set someone up to be an outstanding black belt in your facility? For me, one of the things that I had to audit in my own school was looking at why do we need a year to get someone ready for a black belt after they've learned all the curriculum already? I didn't feel like we're doing our job if it takes you an extra year just to go back and review everything to get ready for black belt. That to me shows that we are too memory-based instead of skill-based and quality-based. So when we went back and redid our curriculum, now that we have this end goal in mind, it was like, all right, how do we get there efficiently where it's not as memory-based and it doesn't take a year just to review curriculum and memorization to get someone ready for black belt? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, second part of preparation is going to be your class planning. When you're creating class plans, it's important that you're creating a plan that thinks for your coaches. It does the thinking for your coaches, so they have a plan that they can follow. Okay, and not only are they on the mat leading this plan or really directing the class through this plan, but they also have the freedom to go off plan when it's needed, if it's for the benefit of the class, if it's for the benefit of the quality on the floor. Okay, as we continue thinking about preparation and class plans, let me give you guys 4 tips to help you build a really kick-ass class plan for your school that your coaches are going to love. So number 1, like I said before, it has to think for them. Okay, it should have everything done for them. So for us, our class plans will have an explanation of the drill. It'll have the benefits of the drill. So when they pre-frame the drill as they're teaching it, they know what benefits to highlight during the pre-frame and how to get the kids excited for the drill. Okay, you have to remember that when you're creating a plan, that it's a class plan, not a law. Okay, so because it's a plan, we're saying, hey, if everything goes right, this is how a perfect class should go. But we also have to understand that not every drill is going to go as planned, that sometimes there's just going to be classes that are in funks and a certain drill isn't connecting with that class. What I don't want is I don't want my coaches to stick with the plan while the plan is bursting into flames on fire. I want them to have the power to call an audible and to go off plan as needed if it's for the benefit of the class. One of the problems I see a lot in our industry is for schools that are using class plans, they have someone that's just running a class plan but not actually coaching the class. So what I mean by that is if the class plan says 10 minutes of line drills hitting wave masters, let's say we get towards the end of that 10 minutes and my students still have horrible quality. They're not doing the combo or the drill correctly. Okay, I don't just stop the drill and move on. Right? Instead, what we do is we go back and we think about, hey, what do I need to put more focus into for my students so that they can better at this? Or do I need to call an audible and change the drill up so we can do a different drill, still working on the same combo or the same move to help make them proficient at this? Okay, what many martial arts instructors do is they have 10 minutes for a drill, and regardless of whether the students actually got better in those 10 minutes or not, once the end of 10 minutes happens, they just move on to the next thing. That's not coaching. Okay, that's leading a plan, but that's not coaching. You want coaches on your floor. You don't want people just following the plan no matter what. So super important that your team understands that they have the power to call audibles. And one of the things that we do at our school is we have a list of 10 audible drills. Okay, all of our instructors have like their 2 or 3 favorites on that list. And if they're running through a class and shit hits the fan and the drill's not going well, or they don't see the progression happen for the students, they will call an audible and switch to a different drill to help get a better end result for the students. Hopefully that makes sense. Then every drill in your class has to have intent, and the intent just can't be fun. Okay, it has to have intent. It has to have a reason why that drill is in that class. Is it helping them get to the end result of black belt? Is it helping them to get to the skills that they need in order to progress and become more confident as an athlete? What is the intent behind the drill? And I encourage you guys to make it something that's not fun. Doesn't mean your drills can't be fun, but don't make fun the main goal. Because a lot of times when I walk into schools that are fun focused, they also have shit poor quality on the mats. You see kids that are like green belts punching with their thumb out still. You see kids kicking pads with their toes. You see kids jab punching and they're like leaning forward with all their weight on the bag. And you see all of these things, but it's cool because we just want them to have fun, right? No, you're producing a piss poor quality product of martial arts in your martial arts school. Instead, does it help them become more accurate? Does it help them with their precision? Does it help them with their footwork? Does it help them with their quickness or their speed or their strength or their body control or their pivoting? What is the intention of the drill? If you can't figure out what the intention is, don't do the drill. Think of something else. Okay, and then lastly, time out your class plan. So again, it's a plan. So put the ideal amount of time you think it should take for each drill to be done throughout class. So that way your instructor can sort of gauge it, but also just, like I said before, make sure your instructor knows that they can go off plan if needed to make the class a better experience, okay? Third part for preparation is practice the plan. So you can't just write up a plan and give it to your instructors. You have to role play it. Okay, so at our instructor trainings, we go over the drills. We have the team actually practice doing a mock run through of all of the drills that we have in the class plan, because it's going to make them more proficient when they have to do it in real life. So role play and drill it with your team. Okay, the next part of the best class blueprint. So 5 was preparation. We're going up in number. So 4 is going to be structure. Okay, when we think about structure, there's multiple facets of structure that we're going to cover here. So number 1 is going to be call and response. In your class, if you're asking them to do something, there should be some sort of response that happens. It could be a yes, coach, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Whatever it is in your school is fine, but are you holding them to a standard for how well they do it? Okay, there's been tons of classes that I've watched where the instructor will give a command and like 2 kids say, yes, sir, the rest of the class doesn't, and then the instructor doesn't actually have them redo it again and hold them to the high standard to get it up to the point where it should be perfect or it should be the best possible. Okay, Jotty Tension has a great thing that he does. He does a 5-point rating scale. So if they give an answer, he'll be like, all right, guys, was that a 5 or was that a 3? Then the students self-assess and they self-correct as a result, and then he has them do it again. All right, that was a 5. That was much better. Whatever you need to do to hold those standards high and move your students up to that standards, but it has to even be done in the little things like call and response or your listening positions, okay, whether you're doing attention, lock it up, taking you, whatever it is. Have those used frequently throughout class, but at a high level. Okay, so one of the things that we do in all of our classes is we spend some of the first few minutes going through our different listening positions, no matter what belt they are. Why do we do that? It's because we're promoting excellence. We're promoting them doing it at a high level. So if I say attention, pa, everyone snaps to attention. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And it sounds like everyone doing it together at the same time, fast at a high level. That shows your parents that you have structure and discipline on the mat. Okay, if I say attention and like they just sort of go at their own speed and they're like, yes, sir, like that, that's not acceptable. But if I don't make them redo it, I'm allowing it and I'm permitting it and I'm promoting it on the mat. I'm saying it's okay. So instead, I need to make sure that they redo it until it's up to the quality standards. Okay, another part of this for structure is making sure that you have pre-class setup. So all of your coaches should know what drills they're doing ahead of time because you have a class plan. So about 5 to 10 minutes before class, they're getting all the equipment, pads, whatever, ready and easily accessible for the class. So that way there's no downtime once the class actually starts. Okay, next is uniform. Your staff needs to be in uniform. The students need to be in uniform. Okay, your uniform can be t-shirt and shorts. It doesn't have to be like a traditional gi. Okay, but I should be able to look on the mat and it shouldn't be free for all. Everyone wears whatever the hell that they want. Okay, if you think about the most professional businesses you walk into, you can immediately tell who works there because they're all wearing the same thing. Is that happening in your school? Is everyone wearing the same thing that works on your team? Is there a strict and enforced uniform policy so all of your students know exactly what's accepted and what's not accepted for them to wear during class? It adds to the structure piece of it. Okay, the other part is dots on the mat. So I know for some reason people have things against dots on the mat. So what we do in our classes is we don't line up by rank. That's super old school. I can give two shits if the black belts are in front, all right? For us, we line up smallest in the front, tallest in the back. That way, everyone can actually see over the person in front of them. When we were watching the classroom footage that was getting sent to us, and we had classes that line up by rank, you had like a small brown belt behind like a teenage black belt, and the brown belt couldn't even see the instructor because they had someone twice their height in front of them. Okay. Also, when you go smallest to tallest, it makes it really easy to get in line drills and also really easy to partner up. Okay. So think about this. So think about you have, let's say, smallest up here, tallest down here. Okay, and we have lines going all the way down, as I hit the microphone, going all the way down the mat, right? And let's say we have 6 lines. At our school, when we say partner up, lines 1 and 2 face each other, 3 and 4 face each other, 5 and 6 face each other. There's no looking around, going to find a partner. They just immediately turn to the person next to them in their row, and they're already lined up by height. So there's no having to switch people out or anything like that. Same thing when we get in line drills, okay? We have smallest all the way down to tallest. Keep hitting the mic. Smallest all the way down to tallest. When we get in line drills, we just say line up. All the lines turn to face one direction and then they walk backwards. And now you have all the lines in height order for your class. Think about how much downtime that gets rid of. We're not waiting for people to find partners. We're not waiting for people to find a group of 4 to get in line with. It's partner up, line up, and the students know what to do because your classroom formation is actually helping with that, okay? And then obviously, in order to have structure, you need a plan, okay, which we talked about the class plan already. Okay, let's continue on. So 5 was preparation, 4 is structure, 3 is what I call NDT or no downtime. All right, here's how you can mess this up. So no downtime means that like class is just go, go, go. People are moving the whole time. The sweating is happening as a result. You're not having kids getting restless or bored either. All right, so here's how you mess this up. Number 1, over-explain every single thing that you teach. Definitely take more than 2 minutes to explain every single move to your students if you want to mess this up. So what that means is in order to do this right, keep the explanations brief and instead, as you're teaching new techniques, short explanation, have them do it with you as you explain it again. Okay, now if we think about the 3 learning styles, we have audible, visual, and kinesthetic. So some people learn better by watching, some people learn better by hearing, some people, a majority of people, learn better by doing. So what happens is when I'm just explaining the technique to the group, I'm only hitting the audible people. If I'm explaining and demonstrating, then I got audible and visual learners. But what happened to all the kinesthetic learners, which is probably a majority of your school, right? They have to sort of figure it out as they go. So instead, we will explain and demonstrate together briefly, less than 2 minutes. Then we stand up and everyone does it with the coach. We do a follow me or a follow along type of thing. So now as they're following along, we're re-explaining it again, and we're hitting all three of the learning modalities to make sure that everyone in class has the best chance of successfully grasping the technique. All right, so you have to make sure that we're not just talking at them, but we're actually having them get up and do. Okay, next part. This is from Dave Kovar from back in the day. I'm 99% sure I got it from him. 3 Ds: demonstrate, detail, drill. Okay, when we're going through, we go in that order: demo, detail, drill. Moving on. You want to mess this up? When it's time to pair up with partners, say everyone find a partner. It'll take a good 5 minutes out of class. Okay, you'll have 5 minutes of downtime while everyone looks around and finds their partner, and the unpopular kids in class who are left out are going to feel even more awkward because while everyone else is looking for a partner, they're just sort of looking up like this and hoping someone picks them. That sounds like a fun time for those kids, right? No. Okay, when you have the class structure correct on the mat with the dots, smallest to tallest lined up, it's partner up, everyone has a partner. No one feels left out. It's not like picking teams in dodgeball. Okay, everyone is assigned a partner, all right? Okay, all of your transitional time between drills, between formations, should be less than 10 seconds. Okay, so if I say partner up, everyone should have a partner in less than 10 seconds. If I say line up, everyone should have a line that they're in and be ready to go in less than 10 seconds. If I say circle up, whatever the formation is, huddle up, right? We use all of those commands at our school. Should take less than 10 seconds for them to get in those positions. What happens if it takes more? Well, number one, you need to look at your floor structure and see if it's actually set up to have fast transitions. And then number two, you have them redo it. If number one is taken care of, number two, you have them redo it until they're doing it in under 10 seconds. Okay, the rule at our school is if you take more than 2 steps to do anything, you need to run. All right, that gets them in the habit of hustling. Okay, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Okay, we talked about systems that have formation. Okay, third, talk with zero urgency. So if I say, all right, guys, line up, how fast are they going to move, right? They're going to take their times. I have to make sure that I'm using the energy I want them to match. All right, guys, you have 10 seconds. Ready? Line up. And then everyone turns, backs up, gets in their lines. Okay, and I'm also giving them the expectation of how fast I want it done in. The same thing has to happen with your focus positions and listening positions. Can't tell you how many times people are adding space in between syllables when they're giving commands for listening positions. Attention. It's not fast. Attention. Way different reaction by how I'm actually saying the command. Okay, so we have to talk with urgency if we want them to move urgently. Okay, and then next, if you want to mess this up, have lots of waiting around. Have them wait around while you're moving targets out into their spots. Have them wait around while you're getting things ready for the next drill. No, instead, if I have a class plan and my assistant coaches are trained well, I'm communicating to them when there's 2 minutes left in a drill. So I'm going to go up to say, hey guys, 2-minute mark, let's set up for the next drill. Okay, they're going to start getting things ready for the next drill while I'm winding down this drill so that we can easily transition from one drill in class to the next one without the students having to sit there and wait for me to prep something. All right, use those coaches, those assistant coaches wisely. Okay, after no downtime, the second most important thing, so we're going 5, 4, 3, we're on number 2 now, is repetition, 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 repetition. All right, question for our industry and everyone listening to this podcast: why are we so damn afraid of reps? Like I don't know what happened. I think someone talked about disguising repetition and everyone took it as, oh, we have to be careful that we don't do too many reps. Okay, I talked about this in previous podcasts. If you think about NBA players, okay, let's talk about Michael Jordan, who's my idol. If we think about Michael Jordan, do you know what he practiced as the first thing to start every single practice session? He started with a chest pass. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever, and I know, Jotty, if you listen to this, you're thinking LeBron, shut up, you're wrong. But the greatest basketball player ever started every single workout with a chest pass. But we are afraid to have our kids do more than 20 round kicks in the time a drill goes because they might get too tired and not want to come back. Are you fucking kidding me? Guys, your students need reps to be good. Okay, if Michael Jordan, the best player of all time, starts with chest passes, guess what? You can't do too many round kicks. You can't do too many front kicks. You can't do too many jabs, too many crosses. Like literally right now at this school, we're doing 1,000 punch week. So every single student's goal is to get through 1,000 punches in class. We set a goal for our black belts and our adults to get through 5,000 punches in class. We're getting the reps in, right? And they have to be quality reps. So I think a lot of us have this idea and this limiting belief that reps equal boring. They do equal boring if there's no progress with the reps. They don't get feedback with them. We're not coaching them up during the repetition process. We're not disguising them. There's no emphasis on what they should be focusing on as they're doing the reps. Like if you're doing round kicks over and over and you just say, all right, guys, we're gonna do round kicks, 100 of them, go. Nope, boring reps. Hey guys, we're going to really work on turning over our hips on the round kick. So as we do these 100 reps of these round kicks, every single one, I want you to focus on getting that hip turn every single time and get the feeling of that hip turning as you kick, so that can become a point of focus to generate more power on your round kick. That's giving reps with emphasis. Okay, and then I'm coaching up on the hip turn as I'm walking around and watching the students do their kick. Okay, also reps will be boring if there's no fill time, if you're just using them like to fill time, okay, which is saying, hey guys, do 100 round kicks. You're just using them to fill time. Instead, give them a goal to work on as they're doing those 100 round kicks. In our school, we have a saying called rep till correct. Okay, so it's not just do reps, it's rep till correct, which means our coaches are going to keep taking them through the reps until whatever the point of emphasis is or the point of focus is correct. Okay, which means if it's just making sure they're pivoting the bottom foot, if it's just making sure the hips are turning, or they're getting they're kicking like shoulder in front on the round kick, whatever it is, we're going to keep working the drill until we see the class doing it. Now, sometimes if we have a 10-minute drill and the class is killing in 5 minutes, that's awesome. We got more time to challenge them more, to add an extra layer, or to give them something different to focus on. Okay, that will happen. But it's important to make sure that the rep till correct is burned into all of your coaches' heads. Okay, it's not rep till 10 minutes, it's rep till correct. Okay, then number one at the top of this, okay, so going back from 5, we have preparation, 4 structure, 3 no downtime, 2 reps, 1 quality. Okay, number one, the number one part of having a best class is quality, right? Now, everything we already covered below this will help you to have a better chance at having a quality class. Because if you don't have the reps, guess what? You're not going to have the quality. If there's no structure, you're not going to have the quality. If there's no prep, you're not going to have the quality. If there's too much downtime, you're not going to have the quality because the reps aren't going to be there. Everyone get where I'm going with this? So I came up with what I call the 7 relentless rules for quality classes. So rule number 1, less is more. Less curriculum, as Johnny Tension would say, yields more reps. Okay, less curriculum yields more reps. Okay, I remember I went on a school visit once and I was watching a 45-minute class happen for advanced students. They have this crazy long form they're working on that they spend about 7 minutes in class working on it, going through the whole form. You know how many reps they got through in 7 minutes? Like 2. Too much curriculum, right? Too much curriculum and too little time for them to get through it. Even if they would have said 10 minutes aside, it would have been 4 reps through the form because the form was so dang long. Okay, and also I could tell the proof of this was watching the kids, and the kids would be like, down block. Then they'd look up and think, and then they'd like step forward and punch. And then they'd sort of like look at the kid next to them, and then they did a high block. And there's so many different moves in this one form that there's no way they're getting quality reps on any of the individual moves. Okay, but the problem was the person teaching this class was chained by their organization. They're chained to their organization and the rules of their organization to teach this form. You don't need to teach it all at once. You can chunk up a form. So I could have one testing cycle be the first section of a form. Then I get the second testing cycle be the second section of the form, and so on. What rule says that you have to teach a form all at once in one giant bite, right? Break it up between testing cycles. You have way better quality students because less curriculum yields more reps. Okay, next, rep until correct, like we said earlier. Okay, it is a rule that we live by at our school. If I see a kid leave class and the kid was punching with the wrong hand, I'm talking to my team about, hey, we did not rep till correct with this student. Okay, I saw coaches walking by. sound correct once, and then you didn't watch to make sure it was actually staying corrected after you made the correction with that student. Rep till correct. Swear, I'm going to like tattoo it on the foreheads of my instructors. Okay, just like you should tattoo it on the foreheads of your instructors. Rep till correct should be a code that your teaching team lives by in your school. Okay, correction needs to happen constantly as a result. And here's the thing, guys. You need to spend time with your students if you're going to rep till correct. I see what I call drive-through PCP. So a lot of you guys are delivering PCP via drive-through. You're delivering correct praise via drive-through. You're walking by the student, you're like, hey, Johnny, good punch, switch hands, okay, great job. And then you walk on to the next person. And you didn't even watch Johnny to see if he kept doing it correctly after you did your drive-by correct praise. You have to spend time with the student. A lot of us heard the 3-time rule where you have to interact with every student 3 times, right? And I agree with that rule. It doesn't mean those interactions should be meaningless. It's 3 meaningful connections with your students every single class. In order to have a meaningful connection, you have to spend time with them. Okay, so the rule that we have at our school is when an instructor corrects a student, they have to stay with that student until they see that student perform it 3 times in a row correctly. Only then are they allowed to move on to the next student, because it ensures that that student is repping till correct. They show us that they have it down 3 times in a row, and then we'll move on to the next one. They get it 2 times in a row and mess up, guess what? We're starting that 3 times in a row back over again. Rep till correct, right? Don't be delivering PCP via drive-through. Okay, number 3, rules for quality classes. Audibles. Your coaches have to be able to adapt and change course on the fly, not go down with the sinking ship. Okay, a lot of you have your coaches do a class plan. The class plan starts to suck. The ship starts to sink. And they're just like looking at the lifesavers over here. They're looking at the rafts that could save their lives, but they're like, nope, I'm supposed to stay on the boat. My job's to stay on the boat no matter what. And meanwhile, the boat's going down, and they're looking over here, just watching everyone else get on the raft and get to safety. Your team needs to have audible drills that they can call at any moment when something's not going right in class. They have to have the freedom to go off script and off plan if it's for the best results of producing quality students on your floor. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Okay, number 4, we've heard this for years. I don't know who started it, but I think it's a great saying in our industry. Inspect what you expect, which means you have to inspect quality constantly. So we do that 2 ways in our school. Okay, number 1 is for the parent class scorecards. So usually once a month, we give these little class scorecards out to every parent that's watching classes for a day. And it will rate our classes on 5 different categories. I'm going to do my best to remember all of them. Okay, it's going to rate it on quality of technique, structure, friendship, meaning are the kids making friends? Are they interacting with people? Socialization, you can call it. Downtime in class. And then I'm probably going to blank on this last one. Class discipline. All right, so were the students having good answers? Were they moving quickly? Were they moving swiftly? So they will anonymously fill out this class scorecard. They will turn it in. And then what we will do is we will look at all of the class scorecards together for each class and then give our coaches feedback based on what we got back from the parents. Okay, so we use that for parent feedback because they have a different perspective than you do. Then the second way that we inspect what we expect is we do internal class evaluations. So we have a class evaluation that scores them on pretty much every single aspect of class. And this is something that myself or my manager or the head coach will sit down and they will actually audit classes for an entire day and give feedback afterwards based on the scores from the audit. All right, so now we're getting feedback from parents. We're getting feedback from the coach, the manager, or the head coach, or the owner as well. And then we're using that feedback to make our entire team better as a result. So I encourage you, if you do this, do it on the same day. So I have the parents fill out the scorecards the same day that the instructors fill out the scorecards, because that'll also let you know if there's any disconnect between what the manager is seeing and what the parents are seeing. Because maybe the manager scored one area of class really high, but the parents scored it really low. right? Something's off then, right? So we got to figure out where the disconnect is, that the parents are seeing it one way and the manager is seeing it a different way, or the owner is seeing it a different way. Okay, number 5, okay, is practice what you teach and teach what you practice. If you are teaching any curriculum at your school, are you actually practicing the curriculum? School owners, instructors, all of you guys. You have to practice what you teach and teach what you practice. That also means, and I'm going to offend some people here, you can't just buy a program and teach it. At least you can't do it at a high level. So many of you guys are buying curriculum programs, and then you're teaching it without any experience or history of experience actually training it. How? Like, would you want to learn, would you want to go to a doctor that just took a weekend course on how to be a doctor? Would you want to have an airline pilot that just took a weekend course or just bought a monthly subscription of how to fly a plane and a month later is already trying to fly planes? No, but we teach self-defense. We teach people how to protect themselves and their family. And a lot of us are doing it because we bought some sort of bolt-on program that teaches curriculum that we've never actually studied ourselves, but now we're teaching it in our schools. You don't think that waters down the martial arts? Like, I had a school owner that I was talking to that listened to the podcast with Jody and I. Like, hey, Adam, man, that podcast meant so much to me, and it really got me to rethink how we're running curriculum. I said, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, we're going to switch everything and start teaching Muay Thai like you guys. And I go, whoa. Hold on a second. Have you trained Muay Thai? He goes, no, but he's like, I'm gonna start and I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, I go, back up a little bit here. So you're saying you're gonna start teaching something that you never even trained in yourself? You don't see like an ethical dilemma with that? And how are you gonna proficiently teach it if you don't train in it? No, that's not the point, guys. Like, we want you doing realistic martial arts, but it doesn't mean to just pull something out of thin air and start teaching it in your school without you doing it. Before we switched from Taekwondo to Muay Thai, I'd already been training Muay Thai for a long-ass time. Jody has been training it even longer. And together we redid the curriculum. We had experience practicing what we're actually teaching. It's the same for you guys. A lot of you guys are setting up your school to fail because you're teaching curriculum at your school that you don't actually train yourself, or that your instructors don't actually train themselves. Knock that bullshit off. All right, let's do what's right, guys. Okay, staying with this, just a couple questions. How often are you training? How often do your coaches train? We pay our coaches to be in class once a week, and then they train the rest with staff training and with my physical training when I go in and train with the coaches. That's how we do it at our school. We pay them at least once a week to be in class, and they have to be in class at least once a week. Also, how often are you training as the owner, as a leader of your business? Okay, there was a time, and I'm sure if you guys go look back like 3 years ago or however long, there was a time when if you looked at me, I was completely out of shape. Because during COVID, I was not training like I was supposed to. Right? I took a break during COVID, gained weight during COVID, came back, and I didn't feel like I was the best leader I could possibly be. So I committed myself to training. Now I'm training 5-6 times a week consistently. I've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. How many classes do I teach in my school a week? Maybe one if I go in for a black belt class to teach. And I'm still training regularly because I need to be the example for our instructors and the example for our coaches. I need to lead by example with that. So if you're not training yourself, I guarantee it's going to be really hard to hold your coaches accountable for training because you're not doing it yourself. Okay, and it's really hard to ask someone else to do something that you're not willing to do. Right? Also, they might fight against it if you're not willing to do it yourself. Okay, the one piece of advice I can give on this is stop being afraid to fail in front of your students. Stop being afraid to fail in front of your coaches. A lot of us don't want to work out with our coaches or work out with our students or be on the mat with them because we're afraid, because we've not been training, that we could fail in front of them. Guess what? It makes you look human. That's okay, right? When Jody was here teaching at our school, I took one of the classes that he taught with my coaches, Okay, and we were doing partner planks at the end where you have your arm around your partner and you both have one arm down and you're doing a plank. And I was shaking during that last plank. And guess what? My coaches were smack talking the shit out of me during it. But it brought us all closer together as a result. Also, they realized that, hey, Adam is human. He's just like us when we train. And it makes them feel more comfortable training as well, because I'm leading by example and doing stuff that I know, even though I'm not the best at it, I'm still going to work at it and get better. Okay, that's how we lead by example for our instructional staff. Okay, number 6 for Relentless rules of having a quality class: be passionate about what you teach or change what you're teaching. One more time, be passionate about what you teach or change what you are teaching. For me, I was not passionate about teaching Junior Taekwondo. And I apologize to anyone listening to this that teaches Junior Taekwondo. It just wasn't my thing. Okay, and I noticed because I wasn't passionate about it, my coaches weren't passionate about it. And they even ask, they question things sometimes, like, why are we teaching this? And I'm like, it's part of the system. That's a shitty answer for a why to teach something. Oh, because it's going to protect you. Oh, because it's going to make you more athletic. Oh, because it's going to make you faster, stronger, whatever. Those are good reasons. Because it's part of the system, or because we were told to do it, or it's tradition. Fucking terrible reasons. Come on, guys. So a lot of you guys may be teaching something because you were told to teach it, or because it's part of a system or whatever. And you may not be passionate about it anymore. And that's okay. It happened with me. Find curriculum you're passionate about teaching, or change the curriculum so you're passionate about teaching it. But again, also make sure it's something you're proficient in. Okay, number 7, it should be a no-brainer. Train your team constantly. Okay, in my last podcast episode where we go over the 7 deadly sins of martial arts, I go over our cadence for how we train our team. Okay, but you need to be training curriculum, you need to be training communication, correction, pad holding, audibles. All of this thing needs to be trained with your team and role played more than once a month. All right, you should have weekly training set up for your coaches. You should have weekly training set up for your managers, admins, head coaches, all of that. All right, if you're wondering the cadence that we use at our school, go back, listen to the last podcast episode on the 7 deadly sins of the martial arts industry. Okay, I cover all of our cadence. Okay, I hope that this today sort of gives you guys the elements to really focus on in your school of having the best possible classes. We call it the best class blueprint. Okay, because we need preparation, we need structure, we need no downtime, we need reps, and all of that is going to help you lead to having a quality training floor. Okay, I want people to look at your floor and be like, holy shit, these kids are so good. I want my kid to be like that. I want parents watching the kids on your floor being like, man, when can I start training this? How do I start doing this? Okay, but unfortunately for a lot of us, we don't have the quality on the mat that's getting people to ask those questions yet. Okay, so if that's you, I would be very transparent and do an audit of your own classes. Sit down and do class evaluations for a day. Have your parents do class evaluations for a day. Get the feedback, okay, and detach your ego from the class evaluation. Remove your ego from it. Okay, pretend you are a mom or a dad that's watching your own class, and put yourself in the perspective of that. Compare it to what soccer training would look like, or basketball, or whatever. Compare it to that. Okay, and hold it to a high standard, higher than what you expect of yourself now. Hold it to a high standard, okay, because you will easily start to find the holes in your curriculum and in your classes that you can now go back and fix. I hope you guys got some good notes from this episode. I hope we helped to really bring some light on curriculum and how to have the best possible class, and I hope you guys enjoyed the best class blueprint. This would be a great podcast to train your team with. Maybe just give them a heads up that there's a few F-bombs on this, or fast forward through those F-bombs if you have anyone that's sensitive on your team, or just reteach this to your team. Use your notes, reteach it, whatever you need to do. But we will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for joining us.
To the top, we about to go. That CEO, I need to know the impact we about to grow. Competition, comical. Straight A1, we on the road. Money focus for the goal. Tell them what they need to know. Unstoppable.